Hello, everyone. This is Standard Definition, the entertainment podcast show of the Boss Rush Network. I'm one of your hosts, Stoy, and with me tonight is someone I need, sir. It would be so amazing if you could give me a nice plug on the Boss Rush Network. If you could just kind of like speak into the microphone that's right in front of you and just give me a little commercial.
I am LeRon Dawkins, and this is my favorite Standard Definition on the Boss Rush Network.
Yes. I will give you a store discount now.
Did I nail it?
You nailed it. Just don't go on any other podcast doing the same thing, okay?
Well, now, why would I ever think of doing something like that? Hold on. How many more podcasts do I have to visit this week?
Dude, it's been a week of podcasting, man. Like,
oh man, this is my third one this week. Well, the fourth one technically.
Yeah, when we woke up Tuesday morning to the news of the whole Activision thing, like I remember kind of like I have to report to work for like an hour every week. So like I'm at work and Corey's like, "What are you doing right now? We have an emergency podcast recording right now." So I was like, "All right, I'm leaving right now." So I literally recorded a podcast in my truck, and I listened back to it. And my truck, I have like a little microphone in my truck that's connected to my stereo, and it's actually not bad quality.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I listened back to it and I was like, God, I wonder how I sound. So first time I ever recorded a podcast in a car.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
Yeah, man. When you got news like that, you gotta get it in. So
see at Crossroads, we don't do that. We just wait, like, because like usually it's on a Thursday. So like if we have the time, we'll actually do something. Like. We'll do something like a retrospective, like after the fact. Yeah. But depending on when it airs, it was like, you know what, we can just wait till Tuesday to hit it.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the funny thing. Like, so much has come out since then. Like even today, there was still more news dropping about Sony coming out saying like, well, I hope Microsoft keeps Call of Duty on our systems. That would be nice. And then Phil Spencer comes out to say, yes, we will. So at least that's good. But then like Sony stock prices drops by like 20 million or something like that.
Yeah, they dropped over 12%, and I can't remember like the actual dollar value that was worth, but 12% is a big deal. Like usually when stock margins are usually only fluctuating by 2 or 3%.
Right, yeah. So, well, I think I kind of went halfway through the intro and segued completely off course. So. Let me continue. LeRon Dawkins is better known as the PC muscle race of the Boss Rush Network and the host of Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast, in case you haven't figured out. I am one of the contributing members of Arsenal X podcast on the Boss Rush Network and the EXP cast, a video game podcast, where we always talk about something completely random in the beginning of our episodes. So every time I host, I'm always used to like, kind of shooting the shit for a little bit.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, like we run up so much time on Crossroads because we do the useless banter at the beginning of the show. Yeah, and then we don't realize that we need to like level off from the useless banter throughout the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's good to kind of get it out of the way. So, and I'm all about business, as you can tell by me really kind of delaying what the hell we're talking about. But yeah, like we're all business here. Especially on this, because when you look at my notes, they're pretty detailed. So, LeRon, we're not here to talk about me.
We're not here to talk about me neither.
We're not here to talk about you. We're here to talk about one thing and one thing only, Mass Effect. Particularly in this episode, Mass Effect 1. Now, as we've seen recently with the release of the Legendary Edition, how that was a huge success for BioWare and a huge success for EA. Especially with the last couple games that BioWare put out, most notably Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Anthem. BioWare had some, to basically say it lightly, they have some making up to do, especially to its fans, because as a fan of BioWare for so long, they're so highly revered as one of the best in terms of quality gameplay, quality story, quality characters, all this stuff. And obviously the last two games, we saw them kind of fall from grace a little bit. Is it a fault of their own? Is it a fault of, the powers that be at EA? We hear so many different stories, but Legendary Edition kind of brought it back to remind everybody how great BioWare really is. And I think it was the perfect time for them, them working on Dragon Age 4 and then working on the next Mass Effect to give them a kick in the ass to say, hey, guys, we could still do this. So it's probably one of the most deep and thought-provoking and emotional series of within the video game universe. I think even currently now, like obviously we have multiple different franchises, but this Mass Effect franchise within video games is pretty big, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I agree. Like I can't think of for the gamers who played it, I can't think of a series that resonates harder than Mass Effect. Because I mean, we've got some serious franchises out there. We've got the Witcher franchise. People aren't just like upswept about that. Elder Scrolls kind of has that going on, but not on this level, because it seems like most Elder Scrolls games, they're loosely linked, but not linked like this. Like Mass Effect rolled out. They were like, this is going to be our Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the start was. Like the two original creators, they kind of wanted a Star Wars soap opera. Mm-hmm. And I really think they did it, because they really nailed a lot of the dramatic elements of the story and the lore and the universe and the characters. Like the characters are probably some of the most notable characters in video games today.
In gaming,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's even crazier is like you've got the main character Shepard, who technically is a blank slate. Shepard is basically like, it's kind of like what Link is for Legend of Zelda. Like Shepard is just this person that's just this costume you put on, and you make all the choices and decisions and stuff like that. And what's crazy is like Shepard winds up being a notable character on his own, and it's crazy because honestly, it's just you making the decisions, pulling the trigger.
Yeah, really. And I mean, we could talk about a little bit of the gravity of your choices, probably later on in this episode, because this is gonna be a very spoiler heavy episode. So if you haven't played the series, highly encourage you go play it now. Because
where have y'all been? This game has been out since 2007.
I know, no kidding. This was Xbox exclusive at one point until
it was.
Mass Effect 2 came out, and then they kind of released it onto the PS3.
I almost bit the knee and bought a 360.
Yeah, I mean, I already had one to begin with, but it was interesting because I bought it for the Xbox 360, the first one, and then I bought the second one for the 360. But then they released it on the PlayStation 3, and surprisingly, it actually had better graphics. Like I don't know, the developers went in there and actually did something different. I don't know what, but like it looked better.
Yeah.
I mean, fight me on it. Like it did.
I didn't get my first real taste of the Mass Effect until after the series had already been done and gone, and they released the Mass Effect trilogy collection on PS3. And I will say this, like I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I feel like I had a much better enjoyment of it because I was able to play the 3 games back to back. Like Mass Effect ends, Mass Effect 2, here we come. Mm-hmm. Mass Effect 2 ends, Mass Effect 3, here we go. Yeah. Stuff like that. Not saying that everyone that played the games over the years as they came out, didn't have just as good of an experience, but I'm one of those people, like when a game comes out, it releases, and a sequel comes up. If it's a sequel that's tied directly to the story, I usually find myself needing to go back and play the other game just to get a refresher, and stuff like that. And like at my age, like wasting like 8 to 16 hours on a game, just to get your refresher. Like I got better things to do,
Yeah, no, you actually make a good point, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about the Legendary Edition now is that for anybody that hasn't played the franchise, this is the perfect opportunity. They cleaned it up, especially Mass Effect 1, which we talked about before recording, was a little bit rough around the edges when it first came out.
Oh yeah. It's funny because like maybe we'll say it for standard definition Mass Effect 2 edition. Yeah. But it's funny how like you look at Mass Effect 1 and then you go to Mass Effect 2 and 3 and it looks like these games came from different eras, even though they were all three games were Mass Effect 1 versus Mass Effect 2 and 3. looked like they came from different console generations.
Yeah, different studios even. Like when you think about
Yeah,
it, I mean,
yeah.
you would think BioWare did the writing, but when they do, and they did in terms of combat, like that's where the biggest difference was for me. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so obviously, LeRon and I are going to go back and do the other two Mass Effects in the main trilogy. We haven't decided if we're going to dive into Andromeda. My knowledge of Mass Effect Andromeda isn't as great as the trilogy, but we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, neither is mine.
Yeah,
Like I was a day one. I was a day one. I picked it up day one,
yeah,
and
same.
because the game had so many issues. I had it on the PC side because the game had so many issues. Like I got tired of waiting for patches, and it wasn't even that the patches were long in their releases and stuff like that. I feel like BioWare was updating Andromeda, if not every day, like every other day or something. So it seemed like every time I wanted to play the game, I'd have to sit through a patch process, and they weren't short patches.
No, no, they weren't.
Like some of those patches took like 6 to 9 minutes, and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Which, yeah, I get it. They were trying to clean up, a lot of stuff and things like that. But like there was like a 2 week stretch where it's like I'm trying to play the game. I just want to jump into the game, and I don't even want to do story. I just want to go fuck around in the game,
hmm
and I gotta wait through patches and stuff like that. I lost my interest in it, and
yeah,
that's a sad thing to say. Like when they're fixing the game so frequently that you lose interest in it. Like that's bad.
yeah. There really is. But kind of to your point, they did fix it pretty quickly. Like comparatively to some other games where it takes them months to fix, patches. I
Mhm.
would say within the first month, a lot of those glitches, were pretty much fixed. Obviously, they had
Yeah.
some little quality issues that still persisted to the point where it's like that would be too daunting to fix. But they fixed a lot of the kind of like gameplay bugs and glitches and kind of weird animations that you would see every now and then. But anyway,
Well, yeah, the problem with that is, and I because I don't want to like beat the dead horse on this. The problem with that is, Andromeda came out in March of 2017.
mhm,
By the time they got through of all their patches and stuff, like I said, I had lost interest in the game, so I already moved on to something else. And I want to say the game I wound up moving on to, like during, like after that, was probably I want to say it was shoot. I think the game I moved on to was well, it wasn't called Call of Duty Infinity Warfare did come out.
was it
Oh,
like
that was a DLC. Oh
the Switch came out
crap.
that year? Like you didn't move on to Breath of
This
the Wild or
this,
anything, or
this nope. I have Breath of the Wild, but that was I still haven't played that. Resident Evil 7 came out. I know for sure that wasn't a game that I wound up playing something else,
Mhm.
after the whole Mass Effect thing. It was
Right.
kind of it was kind of one of those things. Shoot, I can't remember what it was though. Like
Hmm.
shoot,
I stuck
because
with
I
it.
mean,
I stuck with it.
because wait, didn't Horizon come out? Yeah, Horizon came out that year. Breath of the Wild came out that year. Um, okay, so Persona 5. Shoot. I know something jumped. Oh, the Tekken 7 came out that year.
Oh, okay, all right.
I know, and Tekken 7 came out the day before my birthday.
Okay.
So that wound up where I wound up spending a lot of my time at, until Uncharted Lost Legacy came out. Uncharted Lost Legacy came out, and then that got me off of Tekken for a hot minute.
Man, you really remember 2017 a lot better than I did. All I remember
I pu-
is
I pulled up
oh,
a
okay.
list.
All right,
I
there we
pulled up
go.
a list of the other releases.
Cheating.
I
Cheating.
well, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to because I was like, there was something that got me to. That was something that basically, like, I was like, I'm kind of done with Mass Effect right now.
Mhm.
What did I move on to? Because 2017 was a pretty solid year.
Yeah,
But
no, it was
enough,
actually.
enough of Andromeda though. That's not what we're here to talk about tonight.
Yeah. So this is Standard Definition, the place where the gang from the Boss Rush Network, basically just me and you at this point, talk about video games, movies, television, and music entertainment. If you are one of our patrons, you can check out the show early on Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, or on YouTube, podcast services, or our website 2 weeks later for free. Leave us a 5-star review or a 3-star review or a 4-star review. I mean, any kind of don't. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Just review us.
Just review us. So, I mean, if you like us a lot, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like us, don't leave a review. Just kind of just say, you know what, I'm not a fan, and then just move on with your life. Like most things people should be doing in their life. Anyway,
yeah. If you're not a fan, maybe suggest how we can give you some fan service.
Yeah, exactly. Leave us a 5-star review if you really like us on iTunes, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, you can find all of our content on bossrush.net. So we're talking news, editorials, banter pieces, so much content on there. So, anyway.
And of course, our plethora of podcast shows.
Yes. Oh yeah, we got Xbox show, we got a Nintendo show, PlayStation show, we got variety shows. You got After Dark, where you guys just talk about penises and boobs all day, all night.
Last time you were on After Dark, you talked about penises.
Yeah, I know. That's why I mentioned that.
But you made me and Corey cringe, but you talked about them.
Bro, I had to tell the story.
and all the while, Stephanie was just there, fascinated.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, girl, can you rein in your excitement?
I know, no kidding. Hey, that's what she may have to look forward to if she dates some 60-year-old dude when she's older. And, you know, I mean, listen, if you're listening to this episode and you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, you're just going to
become one of our patrons.
Become one of the patrons, listen to the Boss Rush Network After Dark segment where, yeah. Anyway, we're going to leave you with just that. So, Mass Effect. This came out in 2007. And this was the original, right? 2007? Yeah.
2007, yeah.
It was a Xbox exclusive at first because most of BioWare's titles were Xbox exclusive at the time. Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, and yeah, Mass Effect. And I don't think they became multi-platform really until Dragon Age Origins. I think Dragon Age Origins came out shortly after Mass Effect, and that was multi-platform, right?
It was multi-platform?
Yeah, because I bought it for the PS3.
Okay. All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Origins was the first game or the second game?
Origins was the first game.
It was the first game. Okay. Yeah,
I literally have it for the PlayStation 3.
Okay, so by that point they had left. They wound up like their partnership with Microsoft had ended by that point.
Yeah, because
I thought it was after Mass Effect 2 that their partnership ended.
No, I think it must have been. When did EA buy BioWare? Yeah, in October 2007, EA announced that it had purchased BioWare and Pandemic Studios at the time.
Wait. So October of 2007 is when EA purchased BioWare?
Yes.
Because Mass Effect came out November 16th of 2007.
Yeah, so maybe that makes sense why BioWare was maybe more so making exclusive stuff for the Xbox. So it was after this that Dragon Age came out multi-platform, and then Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 2. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of interesting the way that worked out.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I didn't even realize it. I thought it was after Mass Effect 2 that they went multi-platform, because Mass Effect 2, because I don't think Mass Effect 2 even showed up, simultaneous. I don't think it was a simultaneous release for Xbox and PS3. I think Mass Effect 2 came out like 3 months later on PS3.
Was it that soon? I don't know.
I want to say it was, well, maybe it was a little bit later. Like, I don't quote me on that, because I do know like the major thing they had to do is they had to make that interactive comic for people on PlayStation who had never had a chance to play the first game.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. God, I'm trying to think. Okay, so in 2010, BioWare released Mass Effect 2, and let me Google.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, actually.
Okay, January 6, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
PS3 came out in 2011.
In 2011. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
because my search didn't pop up right. Okay, so it was almost a year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of the history of BioWare. Just in a nutshell. So there's a lot that has gone on since, so we're gonna stay out of that for at least for these episodes. So we're just gonna let's get to talking about Mass Effect, dude.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
what we came.
so in the year 2148, explorers on Mars discovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization. In the decades that followed, these mysterious artifacts revealed startling new technologies, enabling travel to the furthest stars. The basis for this incredible technology was a force that controlled the very fabric of space and time. They called it the greatest discovery in human history. The civilizations of the galaxy called it
Mass Effect.
There we go. I was hoping you'd kind of catch that. So that is literally the intro to the game.
Yeah.
Sets up the kind of universe in a nutshell. So the story of Mass Effect actually starts on this age when space exploration is kind of a thing. You know, humanity's not really going that much further outside of the solar system. But on Mars, they discover these ruins of an ancient civilization, like what was mentioned in the intro. And that ancient civilization was the Protheans. Protheans were a spacefaring race well over 50,000 years ago, and they mysteriously vanished, kind of like the Aztecs. They just kind of vanished from history. We don't know what happened to them. So they had technology well beyond what humanity had at this point. So they reverse engineered all of it and created some of the best space fleets, the best spaceships they could find. And then they started finding these, quote, mass relays within the universe that could literally slingshot them from galaxy to galaxy to galaxy. And that's when they started finding different races and different alien species. And yeah, there's so much that happens before the events of Mass Effect 1. Like, one of the biggest things was the Turian Wars. The humanity was at war with the Turians, and they call it the First Contact War.
Mm-hmm. It was humanity's first time making contact with another alien species at that point.
Yeah, and the Turians, their response to everything is just to fucking kill it. So, because the Turian race is alien race is very militant. So, yeah, but we're not going to get through that. There are comic book series, there's books, graphic novels, and even codex entries found in the game that detail events that happened before and in between certain events of the game. So that's, there's definitely other content to consume. And for reference, we actually pulled a lot of the information from masseffect.fandom.com. So it's a big fandom website that has everything you want to know about Mass Effect. And there's an IGN article that kind of an IGN wiki that shows a lot of the major choices that we pulled from. So,
yeah, it's crazy though. Like you mentioned the Protheans though, like because I don't know why I'd never put two and two together. Like man, like the Protheans were the shit for their cycle.
Yeah,
they were because their reach hit all four corners of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, and they had a literal empire.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
there's a lot we don't know about that Prothean civilization until we get to 3,
mm-hmm.
where you actually resurrect or wake up a living, breathing Prothean.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, though.
Yeah, we are. So
yeah, I think we were the perfect people from Boss Rush to handle this, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because I'm a fucking sci-fi nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I am, know, and the one thing I will say about this, and if you're listening right now and you've never thought about Mass Effect, if you like science fiction, if you like choose your own adventure style gameplay, and if you like just like being buried in lore, this is your franchise. This is your franchise.
Yeah, it really is. There's so much content to consume just in listening to conversations, even like asking questions, and even just codex entries. You'll find diaries or you'll find written text, even like some of the commercials and like, things that you see, or, walking even through like the market on the Citadel, so to speak. Like there's such a deep living, breathing world that BioWare created. It's just amazing. And yeah, mm-hmm. I'm a sci-fi nut, and I like things to be explained to me. I don't like, science fiction movies saying, well, that works just because that's the way it is.
Yeah, same here. Here.
And conveniently, they threw in this whole Element Zero thing and Mass Effect relays that are made with this, EZO as they call it in the game, that kind of explain a little bit of their interstellar space travel and all that stuff, and gravity fields and whatever. I think in 3, what was it? Specialist Trainer has
Mhm.
like a toothbrush with like little tiny Mass
Y-
Effect fields in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
She was losing her mind because she thought she lost it.
yeah, no kidding. But yeah, the there's so much that this Element Zero and Mass Effect stuff explains in terms of what the technology is like at this point. So it's, if you're a big lore nut, yeah, like LeRon says,
Yeah,
this is definitely up your alley. So
this is it.
yeah. So the gameplay plays like a third-person action adventure game, with RPG-like elements, and Mass Effect 1 was more RPG-like than the following two. And basically, it required you to, complete objectives, make kills. You're leveling up, and then you're getting points, XP that you can divvy up to various skills and abilities and whatever. And the biggest thing about this game is that you're engaging in a lot of narrative conversation with other characters, and you can respond. And there's certain instances where you can respond a very particular way that could change a relationship or change a story beat.
Hmm.
And they divide it to Paragon and Renegade. So Paragon is like the good choice, where like you're being the nice guy, and the bad choice, Renegade, where like you're just
The
being,
bad choice.
sometimes you're being a dick, but sometimes people need it.
You must have read my mind right there because
Yeah.
I was thinking of a particular incident which I'll save for later.
Yeah. So I have a very interesting statistic that I wonder if you're going to be surprised at. I don't know how they found this out, but I imagine, it's one of those things, when you click that user agreement at the beginning of the game to say like,
Mhm.
oh, hey, I allow EA to use my data and cookies and stuff like that, whatever. They're watching you. They're watching how you play.
Yeah,
And what BioWare found out is that over 90% of Mass Effect players were Paragon.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
I don't doubt it.
because some of the Renegade choices are like, man, I wouldn't do that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. There's some stuff that's like, ooh, like you're a cold-hearted bastard for doing that, you know?
I know, yeah, geez, like, why would do that? God, I don't want to make him do that. Like, there's times where it's like, your characters are like talking to you, and you're like, hey, I really like this relationship that we have going. I really appreciate you, and you can tell them to fuck off. Like, oh God,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell them that. They just open up to me. But that's what,
90%.
yeah, it's over. I mean, there was a tweet. I think John Ebinger.
Uh-huh.
I think he was one of the developers. He said 92%,
Oh wow.
and that's the
But you know what? I don't doubt it because every time I talk to a lot of people that when I find out someone's played Mass Effect like I have, like we talk, and it's very funny how we have very similar tracks.
yeah.
Like most people's tracks diverge like when it's time for like the big finale. That's
Mhm.
you and every game has a big finale. Every Mass Effect game has a big finale. I'm not just talking about the big finale for the entire trilogy. I'm
Yeah.
talking about a big finale for every game. And it's funny how like basically everybody's path tracks until you get to the very final choice of the game.
Hmm. Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about one because it's a very specific. There's a very
Yeah.
specific choice you have to make, and we'll obviously get to that at some point. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say the whole Paragon and Renegade thing is actually probably the most notable feature and the most recognizable feature that's in the game, where like you have the little wing icon that shows up as a Paragon option, and then Renegade as a dark red, star or whatever. And
Yeah.
depending on how you play, the more Renegade choices you make, the more Renegade your reputation becomes, and then the more Renegade options you can have. And it's the same with Paragon.
Mhm.
So there's particular instances in the story where like you can diffuse a combat situation by just talking your way out of it.
Yeah.
Even like what we talked about before, where like you can go to stores, and then you could throw a Paragon option at them, and then they can give you a discount. So there's
Or
uses
sometimes
for
they
it.
give you, or sometimes they give you a discount if you go Renegade.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes.
If you kind of just slam your fist on the table and just, I don't know, I've never played Renegade. It's funny because I played these games multiple times and I always went Paragon because.
I'm not I was not absolute Paragon,
Mhm.
but I mean every now and then I would tip over to the dark side just for certain events,
Yep.
but primarily my playthrough was Paragon. I think the reason why I straddled the line is because I learned somewhere early, like if you keep yourself kind of open, like you get to see all the choices for every scenario you encounter, and that's a big thing too. Like every encounter you have, even if it's the most inconsequential not NPC in the game, like every encounter you have has consequences.
Yes. Yes. And that could be, a wide range of different consequences. And some of them could be groundbreaking where, certain parts of the game or certain other conversations are locked, or that could, a lot of things could affect the ending of the game, even to the point where a lot of the decisions that you make in this game, and we'll talk about a couple in particular that actually transfer over to Mass Effect 3.
Mhm.
And this is where playing the whole trilogy straight from the beginning is such a experience because literally every choice you make matters in the end. Like we're talking like Mass Effect 3. It doesn't change the final ending, but you know, it does have its rolling consequences. So anyway, so let's talk about the mainline events. You're part of a you're part of the crew of the SS Normandy, right? SR Normandy.
The SR, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like this really cool spaceship designed by humans, Turians. Yeah, it's like a
I
human
think
Turian.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. It's part of the alliance. The alliance consists of the humans and Turians.
Yeah. And there's some people on your ship that don't necessarily like that because, aliens are bad and aliens are stupid and humans are better. Racism. But it exists in space.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you get a report of an attack on Eden Prime, which is a human colony. And no one really cares about human colonies at this stage of the universe because I think this takes place in 2180 something or whatever. So this is like 40 years after humanity's entered the space race. And while you're there, you end up finding out Saren, this Spectre, I think it's a special tactics and
Uh,
reconnaissance.
hang on, hang on. I'll pull all this stuff up
Yeah.
while you go through the motions.
So yeah, there's a group of like kind of like special soldiers within the kind of like universe council called Spectres, and I think it's like special tactics and reconnaissance, whatever.
It's honestly really close to what
Okay.
what what uh what stars were and what they called themselves as the stars in Resident Evil.
Special tactics
Uh,
and rescue squad. I know that
special
one.
special tactics and reconnaissance.
Special tactics and
That's
reconnaissance.
what Spectre is. So SPE for special, T for tactics, and RE for reconnaissance. So
Clever,
Spectres.
clever.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Whereas in Resident Evil it was special tactics and rescue.
yeah, in rescue squad or something.
Yeah.
So while you're there, you end up finding out Saren and Nihilus, two Spectres that are there. Nihilus sees Saren, but Saren is actually kind of part of the invasion force. And that's where we get to see our first Reaper invading Eden Prime because they're there to try to get this beacon, a Prothean beacon. And what happens is obviously Shepard interacts with this Prothean beacon and unlocks this vision that he doesn't know what the hell happened, like a bunch of destruction and things dying and whatever. And he unlocks the secret of the Prothean beacon, but Saren doesn't. Saren has to jet because he doesn't know how to work it, and I think he just Shepard just kind of kicked him out of the planet, so to speak. So
Yeah, Saren tries to interface with it, and he gleams something from it, but he doesn't get the same vision that Shepard got.
well, yeah, because I don't think it's unrecognizable. It's not understandable. Like you can't.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of chase that doesn't not chasing, but that kind of like goes into like further into the story where we need to find a conduit that can translate that. But
Yeah, which I think is also the main reason why Benezia was part of Saren's group,
yeah,
because he needed somebody that had long knowledge, of the galaxy and the way it worked, to try and help him figure all this stuff out.
yeah. And she's another kind of like tragic story because I think she was like a victim of her own goodwill. But
Yeah.
so after you get off Eden Prime, you go back to the Citadel, which is this big old like house ship. It's like a huge city.
Yeah. It's past being called an outpost.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a large kind of star-shaped nation, whatever, of just civilizations and aliens and species from like all over the planet all converge in this place, and it's like basically the hub of the entire galaxy, Milky Way, so to speak. So,
yeah.
Do you want to kind of talk about what happens when they get there?
Yeah, sure. All right. So after the events of Eden Prime,
we can swap back and forth. So like,
that works for me. That works for me. Okay, so after events of Eden Prime, like Shepard and his immediate commanding officer, Captain Anderson, who I love Keith David, especially when he's voice acting. I love him. Yeah. And so Captain Anderson, basically, after the situation goes down on Eden Prime, where Shepard winds up getting hooked with the visions from the beacon, they decide that the best thing to do is to go back to the Citadel and make the report to the Council. They get back to the Citadel, and the Council is like, no, we're not picking up an absolute anything of what you're putting down. Like, you're trying to tell us that Saren, organized an attack on an alliance world, and all sorts of stuff is going on. No, Saren is like the number one Spectre in the entire organization.
The most well-respected.
The most well-respected. Like, he gets the job done through any means necessary, basically, and he basically handles all the problems that that the Council species basically wind up with. So the Council, which is made up of one Turian, one Solarian, and one Asari.
Mm-hmm.
They're not quite believing it, and plus the fact humanity still hasn't really proven itself, with the rest of the galaxy traveling species. Humanity is in a weird position right now with the Council species, because like we are more advanced than other species like the Hanar, the Volus, and the big dudes that I can't remember what their names are. The sloth elephant things.
The ones that have to kind of like talk about their
the L Corps. The L Corps.
That's it. Yeah.
There we go. The L Corps. So humanity. Humanity is in a better standing, and I think it's all because of humanity's proximity to Mars. When us discovering like the technology that was left over there, but at the same time, humanity is like making very very fast moves, throughout the chain.
Well, humanity is like a teenager where they want to grow up a little bit too fast, and everyone's like, "Well, whoa, chill."
Yeah. So basically, the Council is having a hard time believing them because, like, number one, like you're trying to tell us that like our best guy is like a bad guy.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything like this, but yeah. So basically, they shoot down the idea. That like what we saw in Eden Prime is what we saw. Like, and they're almost trying to blame us for the fact that Nihilus was killed in the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Shepard gets orders from Ambassador Udina, who basically he's the representative of Earth for the Council, even though technically Earth doesn't have a seat on the Council just yet.
Mm-hmm.
He gets orders from Udina and Anderson combined, like, hey, like, the Council's not going to budge until we give them some type of proof and stuff like that. So basically, the major opening part of Mass Effect starts off on the Citadel. Like, we think Eden Prime is just the prologue. The Citadel is the first act. And so basically, it's at this point where you're trying to go, where Shepard and his crew are trying to gather clues. At this point, it's Shepard, as well as Caden Alenko, who is a biotic, which to basically is like space wizards. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
basically
then
it's
we
like space magicians, yeah.
Yeah, and then Chief Ashley Williams. I almost gave her a promotion, but she hasn't gotten promoted yet.
No.
Chief Ashley Williams, who's a lone survivor from a rescue team on Eden Prime. We find her, and she's about to get her shit wrecked.
Yeah.
By the Geth, and we rescue her just in time. But funny thing about Ashley. She don't trust in like other aliens.
Nope. There was a line that I just heard recently, and I've played through this game multiple times, and I saw her walking through the Citadel at this point. Like sometimes they'll engage in banter. She said something. She's like, I can't tell the difference between the aliens and the animals in the Citadel. And I was like,
yes.
I was like, damn.
I'm like, girl, the aliens are the ones who are walking on 2 feet.
Yeah. Like, geez. Well, I mean, you know what she was trying to get at.
That sounds like that good old boy stuff that we hear, in passing, like when we're at a Walmart or 7-Eleven.
No. I've always heard the phrase, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, and that like that phrase always kind of like tips me off to just say, shut up. Just shut up, But yeah, Ashley has her redeeming qualities, but there's not enough almost to excuse that. But
not enough, yeah. Yeah. All right. So Shepard and his crew are on the Citadel. They're trying to unravel they're trying to get more information to unravel the mysteries. As they're doing their investigation and stuff, they learn word of like 3 key characters that are on the Citadel right now. The first one is a Krogan by the name of Rex.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually at CSEC, which is Citadel Security.
Mm-hmm.
He's at CSEC right now, being harassed because he's actually there on nefarious means, trying to get something done. I won't spoil that for you guys.
Yeah.
But it's from Rex that you learn that another member. Another alien is out there, a Quarian named Tally, and she's out there because she has information that is vital to what he needs to. Rex is out there as a bounty hunter right now, so she has information that he needs to fulfill a bounty and stuff like that. So there's that, but also you hear right before Shepard, Anderson, and Udina go to talk to the council to start saying like, hey, like your boy Saren's up to no good. They also catch wind of Garrus, who Garrus is like he's like the galactic homeboy.
Oh yeah. He is the number 1 homeboy of homeboys.
Yeah. Garrus is talking to one of his superiors right before Shepard meets with the council, and he's letting him, and they catch wind of the fact that Garrus doesn't trust Saren. So it's like, hell yeah, this is the guy you want in your squad right here, right?
Yeah, because even Garrus is like, wait a minute, you don't trust Saren too? Come on, bring it in.
You're exactly. Yeah. So basically, learning about Rex, you figure out that, hey, we need to get Garrus on our side as well, but also we need to find Tally, because like whatever she's got is important enough that if we do this right, we get the council on our side.
Yeah.
So you go and hilarity ensues because Rex, while trying to rescue Tally, almost burns the mission for you and pisses off Udina in the process. But you actually get what you need. You actually get what you need because you rescue Tally. They rescue Tally in time. Which I don't know. Like, can you botch that? I think if you botch that, it's an immediate game over. If you don't rescue Tally in time, is it a game over?
I think so, because I mean the information that she has is pretty vital to your next.
Isn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I never botched the mission.
I never did either. Yeah. But I know. I know you can. You can elect to not pick up Rex, and you can elect to not pick up Garrus.
Yeah. Which I don't understand why anyone would do that.
I don't understand why you'd want to do that either. But
yeah.
I know they give you that choice, but Just seems silly.
Yeah, so after you rescue Tally, Tally actually has she was able to co-opt one of the Geth. That the Geth is a robotic species that was created by the Quarians.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to be a servant. I was going to
Like
say
helper
servant race, but
robots. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Servant race.
There
Whoa,
was
whoa, whoa.
yeah, right. They were going to be a helper robots for the Quarian species, but the Geth wound up accidentally getting artificial intelligence. Like
Yeah.
it was never the design of the Quarians to build AI into the Geth, but the Geth wound up like basically like picking it up and figuring it out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, a war started between the Quarians and their creations, the Geth, which wound up having the Quarians getting forced off their home world and living as nomads in space.
Yeah.
But the Geth are also part of the attack force that Saren is using. And so when we actually get with Tally, we find out that Tally was able to actually download information from a Geth that she had disabled, and the Geth had a recording of Saren talking about everything about Eden Prime, bringing it down, as well as something about the Reapers and this thing called the Catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was it the Catalyst?
No, that was the cipher.
The cipher, yes,
I think that was
that.
it,
Yeah. And also as a bonus in that recording, you learn about Matriarch Benezia, who we find out is Liara Tassoni's mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
that's kind of where all that and that information basically sets up the next 3 missions that you could do kind of in any order.
Yep. So they bring all this information to the council. The council's like, "Oh, okay, you guys weren't lying. Saren is a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go ahead and strip him of his Spectre status." But the council's also like, "We need to shut y'all the fuck up. So can y'all go look for this guy?"
Yeah, we're not gonna do it, but can you do it?
They basically do not want Shepard and his crew remaining on the Citadel being troublemakers, saying, "Hey, there's a bad guy out there."
Yeah, and I think that's right where they make Shepard a Spectre. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Because one of the main reasons before there was an attack on Eden Prime, like the Normandy was doing a shakedown run to Eden Prime, but the shakedown run was actually a disguise for the fact that they were actually there to pick up the Prothean beacon that had been uncovered there. Mm-hmm. Just so happens, while on this, basically Shepard and Nihilus was there to evaluate Shepard because Shepard he did not know it at the time, but Shepard was actually being put into the program to become a Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Shepard gets made a Spectre. Humanity gets one step closer to getting a seat on the council because like only Citadel races have Spectres.
Yeah, and Shepard was the very first human Spectre. And we end up finding out later that Anderson was slated to be a Spectre.
Anderson was the very first candidate Earth had.
And this is where we start to hear stories about him and Saren just having really bad blood because they were partners at some point. But like Saren was always about the mission. He didn't care about collateral damage. And he actually was really against Anderson. So he set up, there was like particular circumstances where he set up Anderson to take the fall for something, and that he lost his chance at becoming a Spectre. So,
yeah.
But
yeah, so basically, like now Shepard has a mission for both the Council and humanity. Mm-hmm. Need to go hunt down Saren. Also, get as much information as you can about the Reapers because now the Council is not believing that there's another race of anything.
And let me tell you, they don't believe you up until the 3rd game, where all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, why are all our spaceships blowing up spontaneously in space?" And Shepard's like, I told you.
Like, bitch, I done told you.
I've been telling you how many times? And they're like, how much time we got? Like, you don't. Anyway.
Yeah,
so this is where the game kind of splits off into 3 because you have 3 leads. You have a person that you have to rescue that can decipher that Prothean data that you have on your head. You can chase down Matriarch Benezia, who's on a mission on Noveria, who was on the recording. And then you could chase down this, what do we say it was? A cipher that was supposed to be on Pharos.
Yeah.
And there was a report of the human colony there. Something was happening to those people.
Something was happening.
Something was happening. So you could take all these in order, but I do want to kind of talk about Liara, because Liara is Matriarch Benezia's daughter. Now, it's beneficial if you care about Liara, which a lot of people say Liara is like the best bae, whereas Garrus is like the best bro.
The best bro, yeah.
You know, and Liara, you know, I almost think like if you're going to go after Matriarch Benezia on Noveria, you want Liara with you. So a lot of times you go to this Prothean dig site, Liara's trapped in this bubble, and these mercenaries are trying to go after her. And naturally, these mercenaries are working for Saren. And they want to capture her because she's a very young Asari, but she's a big student of Prothean technology and Prothean data and stuff like that.
And they're also under the understanding that if they have Liara, given that Matriarch Benezia is also with them, like Liara would just automatically fall in line and work with them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Since it was so easy for Matriarch Benezia to do that, but I don't know if that would have worked. Who knows? But
I don't know either, because knowing what we will talk more about Benezia's situation when we talk about Noveria.
Yeah, because Noveria isn't necessarily much of a honestly, on Noveria you're spending so much of that time on the Mako.
Yeah.
And besides like the third person action combat, there's a lot of driving combat. Like you're landing on planets with this tank like thing that's got 6 wheels and just controls terribly. But
yeah,
still it's fine.
It floats more than the tanks.
Yeah, exactly. And it climbs literally vertically straight up mountains. You could do it.
That was kind of cool. Yeah.
But you could.
Maybe it had miniature mass relays in it.
Yeah. So
mass relay fields or something.
Yeah, it's got mass effect fields on its tires or something.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Asari, because the reason why she's so important and the reason why that she can decipher all this Prothean data that you have in your head is that Asari do this mind blending thing with other races, where they basically it's hard to explain, but it's like they create this like mind jack connection. And they can kind of feel your thoughts and like feel your emotions and feel with you, like almost like a shared consciousness. So Liara, being a Prothean student and an Asari, can actually mind jack into Shepard's brain to help decipher the data. But after rescuing her, you find out she really can't, because there's so much.
She's too young.
Yeah, she's too
basically
young, and there's not enough data to really decipher what it all means. So this is where the information comes about this cipher that you need to find, which you end up finding on Pharos. But I don't know if you wanted to talk about Noveria, because Noveria is actually where one of the first big major choices that you need to make fall in line.
As a matter of fact, Noveria, like immediately after you pick up Liara, like I would definitely recommend that you go to Noveria first. Noveria is an ice planet, and it's I can't remember the corporation that basically has its foothold on that.
Is that Exogeny, or am I thinking of Pharos?
I think it is Exogeny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and basically. They're basically, if there's such thing as a stock exchange, in that universe, that franchise, that would be Noveria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that would be Exogeny, because they basically control like a lot of the commerce and stuff like that. So like a lot of stuff, like research and development happens on this planet. Military movements happen on this planet. Everything big, financial stuff goes down there. Everything big goes down there. So you wind up getting to Noveria.
Mm-hmm.
And you do find out that Benezia is there, but because of the situation with the planet Noveria itself and like how the politics go on that planet, you just can't roll up there and arrest her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first problem that Shepard and his crew encounter is the fact that they have to find a way to get to Benezia without making it a galactic incident. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that they wind up getting some help from like the chief of security out there, which her name is like Parsini, Gianna Parsini or something like that.
Yeah, it's something weird. Yeah.
Paracini. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, hey, listen, the guy who runs this whole situation is crooked. If you can get me some information on him, I'll give you whatever you need to track down Benezia.
And that guy's Laura Quinn, right, or something like that. Like
yes,
he's the Turian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Solarian.
He's a Solarian. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Solarian. So yeah, so once you fulfill that request, like you, like Shepard and his crew get full reign. She tells them exactly where to go, which they're in a facility on top of a mountain.
No. Laura Quinn is a Turian, but he kind of gives you more information. I'm forgetting who the Solarian is that you're talking about, but I forget his name.
Crap. Shoot. I can't remember. I'll try and look it up.
Ananias.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So once you bring down Ananias, then you get full access to what's called Peak 15. Now, what's interesting about Peak 15, right before you guys take off for Peak 15, you find out that Benezia traveled to Peak 15 because there was a situation out there and they've lost all communication with it, and it's almost to the point where they're treating it almost like it's a nuclear incident. Mm-hmm. So basically the corporation on Noveria is like, we don't want to deal with this. So you guys, if you're stupid enough to go up there, go.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you get to Peak 15 and you get to the facility up there, and all sorts of shit is just not right.
Mm-hmm. You end up finding Rachni.
Yeah.
Which is like space spiders.
An alien species that what was eradicated like over 200 years ago.
Yeah, and it was eradicated by the Krogan.
Humanity hasn't even seen Rachni.
Yeah.
Humanity never saw Rachni because the Krogans, the Solarians, and the Turians wiped them out.
Yeah, but it was mostly
the Krogan.
It was mostly the Krogans because the Krogans could populate very quickly, very easily, and they're basically walking tanks.
Yeah.
And when the Solarians and the Turians thought they could use the Krogan to help defeat the Rachni and drive them out, they bred them like crazy. But of course, naturally, afterwards, they found out that there's too many Krogan and they're a menace to the galaxy, so they instituted the genophage, which we'll talk about more so when we get to Vermeer.
So basically they're out there and they're getting attacked by this alien bug species that humanity's never seen before. But if you happen to have Rex in your team, Rex is like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't right. Nothing should be like this. If you have Rex and Liara on your team, they will give you a lot of lore as you travel through Peak 15 and stuff like that.
And I always forget that because I bring Garrus with me every time. And
I bring Garrus with me every time too.
I always forget.
Normally my team consists of Garrus and Tali.
Yeah.
It's either Garrus and Tali, Garrus and Caden, or if I absolutely know that I need like Liara or Rex, that's when I'll take them.
Okay, so it's like pretty much you take Garrus with you all the time.
Like I hardly ever take Ashley.
Yeah, same.
All right. So two major things happen at Peak 15. At Peak 15, you discover that Matriarch Benezia was there to cool off the situation. They lost containment of their Rachni that they were breeding. Mm-hmm. But not only did they lose containment of the Rachni they were breeding, they lost containment of the Rachni queen that they resurrected and stuff like that. But first, before you get through all that, you have to go through Matriarch Benezia, who is a very capable and talented Asari warrior. I mean, she does. The combat with her it's a little chaotic, but it's because she's causing the chaos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she kind of indoctrinates her soldiers because she has an Asari commando unit with her. And I think she literally controls them with her powers. She has these powers of indoctrination that she kind of forces them to do her will.
Which is sad because that's the tragedy of Benezia, because the time that she spent with Saren on Sovereign, which by the way, Sovereign, that's a spaceship, but it's Saren's spaceship, but it's also a Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the one. It's the
spoiler.
one doing the indoctrinating, so to speak.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
sentient spaceship, so to speak.
yeah. So the time that she spent in proximity to Saren and Sovereign, she's become indoctrinated, and she didn't realize that she was. Well, she kind of knew she was doing it, but she never had the will to fight it until if you have Liara
Mm-hmm.
out there, like that's when she puts up the biggest fight she can against the indoctrination.
Yeah.
So basically, Benezia gets killed. You have to kill her. You have to
Mm-hmm.
take her out because that is Saren's right hand
Yeah.
at that point.
And that's the only way
And
she knows that she can. I mean, when she breaks and talks to Liara, she says, "This is the only way to break the indoctrination is to kill me."
yeah,
She's pleading with
yeah.
her own daughter, and that's kind of sad when you think about it, because it's like, you know, oh, it's a nice family reunion, but
Bye, mom.
bye, mom.
Yeah,
Sucks.
yeah. So as soon as you deal with the Benezia problem, then you immediately have to figure out what you guys are going to do with the Rachni Queen. And like I said, if you have Rex with you on the squad, Rex is not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of your first major choices that you make for this game that actually has repercussions throughout the rest of the franchise.
Yeah. This is where
And
you have to decide if you want to space the queen and kill them and their entire race, or if you're not a mass murderer, you basically let
I
them
think
go.
Well, what kind of swayed me to make the choice to let them live was the fact that because they resurrected this queen and they resurrected this queen and even though the Rachni have like a racial memory that's passed down, as new generations are spawned and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
this was technically the original queen that was cloned and resurrected.
Yeah.
And the queen speaking through like another because like they also have telepathic like influence.
Yeah, but they
She
call it
spoke
like
through,
songs. I think that's how
yeah,
they kind of refer to it. Like when they say like it's like kind of like mind telepathy, but it's like through song. I think that's how the queen exactly describes it.
yeah, yeah. Like the queen is able to like take control of like one of the Asari commandos that you mortally wounded during the
Mm-hmm.
fight with Benezia, and she's able to use that commando to speak to you guys. And she tells Shepard and crew right there, like, listen, like I understand, like we did a terrible thing back during those wars and stuff, but now that I have the clarity of actually have died and seeing what happens, after that, I realized the will of the what happened in our ways and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and we are willing to uphold the peace right now if you just let what's left of my species live and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. That speech is actually what swayed me to actually spare the queen and the rest of the Rachni that were there.
Same for sure, because they were. I mean, that's the thing. The Rachni only do what the queen bids,
Yeah.
because it's that kind of hive mind mentality where, And then she said that she's like, my children will only do what I say or what I will, and if I will them to leave humanity and all the other races alone, they will do that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if that's part of their species, I have a tendency to believe that. And yeah, they go to the far corners of the galaxy, never to be pretty much heard from again.
There
So,
is one interesting thing though, and I didn't pick this up until my second playthrough of the game. There's one interesting thing that the queen says to you before she leaves after you let them go. She does say that something else is out there singing a song that's making everything murky.
yeah.
Yeah, for the and she doesn't say the scope of it, but you can kind of tell that she's talking about the entire galaxy. Something is singing a song that's clouding like everything that goes on in the harmony of the galaxy.
Mm. You think that's the Reapers or something like that? Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm pretty convinced of it. Like it took my second playthrough to get it because I'd only played Mass Effect once because like I played 2 and 3 multiple times after beating them and stuff like that.
Mm.
But 1 was the hardest one for me to come back to. So it wasn't until this recent second playthrough that I was like, bitch, I missed that. How did I miss that?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I never thought of it. I know. Yeah, I do remember that line, but I never really deeply thought about that until you mentioned it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, she says there's another force out there that's singing a song, and it's making everything like murky.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah, I did not realize that to my second playthrough. I was like, because like I don't want to get too ahead to get too far along in this because
Mhm.
we need to talk about Pharaohs.
Yeah, right. So you get this information that there's something happening in Zoo's Hope. That's another like kind of like human colony, but like it's actually this one's actually run by Exogeny. I ended up having to
Mhm.
Google it. So
Okay.
Exogeny runs this big corporation on Pharos, and um, they actually got a hold of something called the Thorian. You don't find that out until much later into the gameplay because something is mind controlling humans in this. And you're also fighting Geth there too because the Geth are actually trying to find whatever it is Exogeny got a hold of. And Exogeny got a hold of this creature that is like millions of years old, like this big sentient creature that is like a large plant or something.
Pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And it actually turns humans into husks. And this is kind of where we get a little bit of like husks being like kind of uh, exactly what the word
Basically,
says.
basically, like they're basically like zombies.
Yeah.
They're basically zombies, but they're zombies that are actually controlled by a higher force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, they're just kind of like walking zombies just with
I
no
mean, I mean,
humanity
I
left in
mean,
them. Yeah.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, um, basically, this company is funding research on this Thorian species and its mind control properties. And what they end up finding, obviously, what they end up finding out is that this Thorian, who communicates to you telepathically as well, has what is called the cipher, and this cipher is actually what kind of like basically deciphers the Prothean imagery that Shepard has. Like basically, I'm trying to think. It's like it's not an actual unit. It's not an actual like piece of machinery. It's literally something that the Thorian telepathically puts into Shepard's brain.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we didn't talk about was uh, everybody communicates with each other and everybody speaks in English, so to speak, or
Mhm.
whatever language it is you set in the game. So it's like you wonder like how Tyrians can understand humans and how Asari can understand Krogan and stuff like that. They have these like chip implants in their ears that are like that deciphers language live. So a lot of times if you were to read Prothean technology or Prothean data, it's completely like you can't understand it. So this is where the cipher comes in, and this Thorian creature has it, but the Thorian creature has been corrupted, um, by I think the Geth. They were
Was it the
there.
Geth?
Yeah, the Geth was there.
Well, I know the Geth were there, but I thought the Thorian was like fighting the Geth.
Yeah, because I think the Geth were trying to do something where they were. Um, I guess I'm looking it up. Uh, so basically,
I know for sure the Geth were trying to get the Thorian off planet. They were
yeah,
trying to do that for sure. I know that.
and they wanted to get the cipher. I think that's the main reason. Because
Yeah.
obviously through their data and their research, Saren found out that this Thorian creature has a cipher, so the Geth were sent in to actually take it. But I think the whole like humanity and the colonists getting infected by these, getting zombified, so to speak, that's where these Exogenies experiments gone wrong, so to speak. So it's like Zoo's Hope and Pharos as a whole had all these multitude of problems, and of course, naturally, Shepard has to come in and fix it. So, yeah, in the end, obviously, we find out this big Thorian creature, through this Asari baby, because apparently, um, it created this Asari creature called Shiala.
Yep.
And that's the thing about the Historian, that the Historian can create. I don't know if it can create other species, but like
I think it can. I think
yeah,
it can because like, it was cloning people because like Shiala was more like a clone than yeah.
yeah. Shiara wasn't necessarily like captured and then the Thorian just sucked it up. Like Shiala was literally created from this Thorian creature, and it's interesting because like she's the one that gives you the cipher. She's the one that kind of speaks to you on behalf of the Thorian creature, because obviously the Thorian creature doesn't talk per se. So you can actually choose to spare Shiala's life, or you can kill her right then and there, because obviously the Thorian's this like bad creature that really shouldn't be, whatever. So, this is where it's interesting, because she actually pops up in I think Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Because you actually give her a chance to like make up for it, because she's the reason why Zoo's Hope and all those human colonists are in such dire pain and misery. So she actually says, like, I want to help the people here. I want to help the people on this colony. And she actually does. You actually end up running into her, I think, in Mass Effect 3, and Zoo's Hope becomes a war asset.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I mean, we'll talk more about Mass Effect 3 and all your implications later, but once we get to Mass Effect 3. But yeah, that's the big thing that happened on Pharos. Afterwards, we get to Vermeer, which is another big decision-making point. Probably one of the biggest ones, because Saren's up to no good on Vermeer.
Yeah, I remember hitting Vermeer. Well, I remember when I was telling some friends, like, hey, I'm getting ready to do Vermeer. And everybody was like, hey, like this is like the jump off right here. And I didn't know how serious they meant about that until I actually played through Vermeer. Basically, you get to Vermeer. The Normandy crew gets to Vermeer. When you land, you meet a Solarian army, which is led by Major Kirahi.
Yeah.
I like that dude.
We will hold the line.
Yeah. Like Kirahi is like, hey, we've been out here for a little bit, and something's not jiving here.
Yeah.
Something's not jiving here. We know Saren's here, but we also think that Saren is cloning Krogans.
Can I read Kirahi's speech? I had to Google this.
Yeah.
He gives this massive speech where you have to do the final push, against Saren's forces. And Captain Kirahi runs like the special task group or something like that. It's like Solarian Special Forces. And he gives this speech where it's like kind of like pretty lame, but it's still like, holy shit, man, I'm ready to go. So he's like, you all know the mission and what is at stake. I have come to trust each of you with my life, but I have also heard murmurs of discontent. I share your concerns. We are trained for espionage. We would be legends, but the records are sealed. Glory in battle is not our way. Think of our heroes, the Silent Step, who defeated a nation with a single shot, or the Ever Alert, who kept armies at bay with hidden facts. These giants do not seem to give us solace here, but they are not all that we were. Before the network, there was the fleet. Before diplomacy, there were soldiers. I love this so much. Our influence stopped the Rachni, but before that, we held the line. Our influence stopped the Krogan, but before that, we held the line. Our influence will stop Saren in the battle today. We will hold the line. So good.
That was a speech.
I was waiting my whole life to recite that whole thing. So thank you for giving me that.
Oh yeah. All right, so here we go. Vermeer. The very first thing you find out in your research is that Saren, thanks to the information you got from Kirahi and his STG force, is that Saren has been cloning Krogans, but these Krogans are completely these Krogans aren't completely cured of the genophage, but they are damn near there.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens is Rex definitely gets bent out of shape, because he's like, hey, if there's a cure for what's wrong, what's ailing my species. And by the way, the genophage was what? Okay, so the Solarians and the Turian used the Krogan to help in the Rachni Wars. Now what they did is interesting, because like you don't find this out until Mass Effect 3. But basically, the Solarians are like the science race of this universe.
Yeah.
And they basically they did what was called enlightenment, which basically is just a fancy way of saying, hey, we just polluted your species with our technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they uplifting. I'm sorry, uplifting.
Yeah,
That's what they did. That's what they did.
Because I was like, that sounds about right, because the Krogan species advanced because of their influence.
Of their influence, yeah. Like mainly the Solarians, and the Solarians will basically come to terms with the fact that they created a problem, but they created a problem thinking that it was the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Krogan, The Krogan were very primitive when the Solarian and the Turians like did what they did to them and stuff like that. They basically turned the Krogan into a spacefaring species just so they could fight the Rachni for the galaxy. So, but the problem is that the fact that the Krogan actually reproduce much faster than most of the other races in the galaxy, you now had these brutes running around the galaxy. Basically, they were basically becoming a new version of space pirates, and and they were becoming a scourge of the galaxy. So the Solarians and the Turians go back to work again, and they basically create a virus that basically targets the Krogan, but instead of it being just something that kills them off, it's a little more nefarious because the genophage basically attacks them on a reproductive level to where like they really can't have create new generations of Krogan.
Yeah.
Like
And
if women become pregnant, they're either stillborn or the babies are just never viable, stuff like that, and they basically, it's a clean way of wiping out a race. I'll say that, me being a science fiction guy, and a person of science, it's a pretty clean way if you're going to wipe out a race, but it's also, ooh, it's insidious.
yeah, it really is. And when you get to 3, you have a large choice that does affect that. But
Yeah.
obviously we're jumping too far ahead. But yeah, it's like the Solarians developed it and the Turians deployed it. So they all carry that burden with them throughout the generations.
And the Asari just like, what the fuck did y'all do?
Yeah, like what's wrong with you?
I thought that was so funny because like even the council like they argue about that.
Yeah, and the Asari counselor is just like, I didn't make this problem.
So yeah, once Rex finds out that Saren is inches away from creating a cure to the genophage, Rex starts having a moment where it's like, what am I going to do? Because this could fix my entire species and stuff like that.
And just for context sake, just if you don't mind me interrupting.
No.
One Krogan can have say for example, like Krogan have a litter, so to speak. Like they just don't have like one baby or two babies. Like
isn't the litter's like 20? Like is that like 100 strong?
Yeah, they could have up to 100. I think that's kind of like the most, but like they could like give birth to like 20 Krogan, 20 to 40.
Why did we never see like baby Krogan in the entire game franchise? Why did we never see them?
I mean, we didn't see them until 3 at the very, very end. But
true. That's true.
But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So basically Rex is at this point where basically he's starting to make the rest of the crew twitchy. Like Caden, Ashley, and Kira here, like, hey, you about to have a problem with this guy right now.
What's wrong with your boy over there? He's and Ashley, the racist that she is, like, let me shoot him. Can I shoot him, please? Let me shoot him. Give me this opportunity, please.
Good old Ashley. Like, So basically, this is one of those situations where you're getting ready to lose a permanent member of your squad, but that's not the kicker. That's not the kicker, because in this spot, you could actually lose 2 people in your squad. But the whole thing about whether Rex survives or not all depends on if you did his loyalty mission before you get to this point in Vermeer. Because if you did not do his loyalty mission, the odds of him walking away from this alive are very slim.
Yeah, very slim, because you could attempt to have as much Paragon dialogue choices as possible, but yeah, doing that loyalty mission is definitely going to help you. So that's why I always tell people, if you're going to do Vermeer, do as much of the side content as possible.
Mm-hmm.
As much of the side content as possible, because Vermeer is definitely a point of the story where there's not a lot you can go back from. It's a very major story beat.
Vermeer technically is a point of no return without it actually being the point of no return for the game.
Yeah, right.
All right. So after you figure out what you wind up doing with Rex,
it's like you can either kind of like convince him to stand down because he's ready to shoot you. You could either convince him to stand down. You could either shoot him yourself if he doesn't calm down or whatever, or just Ashley. You can actually signal to Ashley to like take him out, or
she'll snipe him,
or Ashley will just do it herself, and you're just like, all right. I mean, I spare Rex
Man.
every time because Rex is my boy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who. I'm not sure who has the best one-liners. I'm not sure if it's Garrus or if it's Rex, because the one-liners those two bring to the conversation is just hilarious.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Rex is. A lot of people say Garrus is, their boy. I don't know. I was like, Rex is my boy. Like, he's my guy. Like, it sucks that he doesn't become a playable character in 2, but that there's a very good reason why. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So once you take care of things like destroying the facility is the next major thing. But after you destroy the facility, you get a chance. You in a meetup with Saren, because Saren's like trying to, like, hey, look, I know you're hunting me down, and I know you think that I'm the bad guy here, but I'm not the bad guy here. And then you start to realize that, based off of everything you've heard from Benezia and from the Thorian and stuff like this, Saren has been indoctrinated.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you really don't find that out until, like, that final, that battle where he's on his little hoverboard, and
yeah.
yeah.
I know, being all cool, and I want one of those hoverboards. Why didn't Shepard get one of those?
I know, no kidding. Like, well, that's kind of the interesting thing about the design of Saren, is that he is the most unique looking Turian,
Yeah.
and I think there is a reason why he looks different than everything else, because the upswept parts of the Turian head actually mean something.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to research that, because I think that comes up at some later point. But he has these kind of like fangs that go sideways on the side of his head.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is a reason why. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. So after figuring out that Saren's been indoctrinated, you get your first real battle against Saren. But that fight against Saren is basically a distraction, because basically the whole planet's about to get nuked.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where your real crisis of conscience comes into play, because you wind up in a situation where Shepard has to order either Caden or Ashley to do the deed. But doing the deed means they have to hold the line while the rest of the team, like, depowers the nuke.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you are actually going to officially lose a member of your squad.
And you have
and
no
you know
choice.
what? And you have no choice. And you know what? I'm sorry. I had no choice but to let Ashley's ass go.
I was gonna say, no, you do have a choice, and it's always Ashley. Sorry, Ashley. Sorry.
All right. In my defense, the reason why I spared Caden is because Caden is a legacy. Like, when you find out talking to him, he's called an L2. He's a second generation of human biotics when the experimentation was happening. And the human biotics, like, okay, what I love about Mass Effect is Mass Effect kind of mimics stuff that's happened in real life, because, like, when you hear about what they did, they basically exposed babies in the womb to element 0 to give them the same type of powers that would be comparable to the Asari. And this is our own people that did that. This isn't like the galaxy got a hold of these kids. These are our own people that did that. But where Caden's so important is he's called an L2 because he's a second generation. The first generation of kids, they didn't fare really well at all.
No.
But the second gens were the first ones that the Earth government decided were viable enough to keep. Even
And
though
that's the
they
really
still
cool
had
thing
problems.
about finding out about these characters, because, like, occasionally you go back to your ship and you can actually interact with a lot of your shipmates, and that's where you get to really kind of delve in and really find out who they are. Like, you get to find out. I mean, literally. I mean, we obviously make fun of Ashley because she's racist, but it comes from somewhere, and
Yeah.
she talks a little bit about her grandfather's legacy, especially during the Turian Wars,
The first contact war. Yeah.
where she, like,
there's a reason why she had distrust of alien species, and it's all because of the first contact war and, like, the fact that her family were directly involved in it.
Yeah, and her grandfather was the first human general to surrender to the Turians.
Mm-hmm.
And he was seen as a disgrace when he came back to humanity, and it was literally stripped of his command and all his accolades and everything like that. So naturally, that left Ashley, I think, a little bit bitter.
Yeah.
Um,
But but you
But
know,
this is where going back to Caden, this is where you hear a lot about his upbringing and the torturous school that he was in, because he's like, yeah,
yep.
definitely like the L1s didn't fare any better.
Hmm. Yeah, so my main reason for like sparing Caden, where I really didn't want to spare Ashley, is because of the fact I feel like I feel like Caden had more, like, because like in your conversation with Caden, you find out that Caden, once he gets past the military life, he actually wants to nurture like more and more of the generations, the current generations that are dealing with ESO exposure and stuff like that. So it felt like Caden had more purpose than Ashley, because Ashley told you she was born and bred military. She was always going to be that way.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole lingering thing where it seems like every time you have a conversation with her, she had something off color to say about like another member of the species.
Yeah.
She even questions your authority about why you have alien members on board a human ship,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I don't dislike you, but you have so many dislikable characteristics that then I'm sorry. You gotta hold the line.
Yeah, you really do. And if you elect to keep it, because like occasionally in some of my playthroughs, I kept her in my recent playthrough, and
Mhm.
I was like, I'm kind of curious to see how she kind of grows, if she does. When you go to in Mass Effect 2, she's a bitch,
Yeah.
but for
Well, yeah. Well,
different reasons.
yeah, but for different reasons. Yeah. But in all honesty, they wrote Caden and Ashley to be two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it doesn't matter if Ashley lives and Caden dies. It doesn't matter if Caden dies. If Caden dies and Ashley lives, it doesn't matter, because like they both wind up doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. And
From that point.
there's a very good reason for it, which obviously we'll talk about it when we get to Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so that's the major thing. Like you basically you win the day, but Vermeer cost a lot.
yeah.
It costs a lot because because Shepard is very sympathetic. Like he knows that getting a cure for the genophage would probably be the greatest thing humanity can do for the entire for not just the Krogans, but like it would actually elevate humans to a different status, among the council species. Number one, yeah, it's going to piss the Solarians and the Turians off, but yeah, at the same time, like it's going to do something. It's going to show that humanity may have a club fist from time to time, but they also have a gentle hand.
Well, and that's the thing, because like you have to prove that humanity is not about humanity. Humanity is
Yes.
about other species, which correlates to the final decision that you're going to make at the literal end stage of the game, is to like, what do you want humanity to represent? Is humanity selfish in nature, where they're only serving to serve themselves, or do they want to serve the betterness of the galaxy and trying to help elevate other alien species? So that's a big question that humanity has to kind of like answer to everybody.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about Shepard in the Vermeer mission that actually gained him a lot of cool points with me as a character is the fact that when he was talking to Rex about the whole situation, he was like, Rex, he's like, this might be a cure for the genophage, but those cloned Krogans, they're mindless. They're the
not
exact
Krogan.
same. They're not Krogan.
Yeah.
They're basically just another tool to use for galactic conquest.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's actually those words that actually sway Rex. Like you still have to have done his loyalty mission,
Yeah.
or it's gonna go bad. Like he'll still get the speech, but it's not gonna go good.
No, yeah, because that's the thing, because the Krogan have been used as a tool for generations and generations, and Urdnot's sick of it. Urdnot Rex is the type of guy that he wants to elevate the Krogan to a status where they can actually be a respected species, and rightfully so, not just given to them, one that they have to earn. So he wants to not only cure the genophage, he wants to elevate his species as a result of it. And
Yep.
yeah, you're right. Shepard kind of like painted it plainly. Those aren't Krogan in there. Those are husks. They're tools meant to be used for Sarens and the Reapers, control.
Mm-hmm. Like if we let them live, like the entire galaxy dies.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when like all of a sudden, like he's that scene where all of a sudden he just puts the shotgun down. He's like, all right, Shepard, you win this round. So they're basically the one thing that Benezia and Saren were trying to get at is that there's a particular relay called the MU relay, the MU relay, and it's a very specific relay that that goes to a part of space that's really uncharted, and that's where there's a planet called Ilos there. And on Ilos is supposed to be something called the conduit. I know we talked about the conduit earlier, but no one knows what this conduit is until later on, once you actually start to discover what's on Ilos and what the conduit actually is. I think Saren knows at this point what the conduit is, but Shepard doesn't.
Yeah.
So
because Saren, I think Saren was actually able to like successfully like get the information off of the beacon that they just found.
Yeah, because they did find a beacon on Vermeer, and that's when we got our first interaction with Sovereign.
Yeah,
where he predicted the Reapers coming to exterminate all.
That was such a cool part of the game because like at that point, because at that point everybody's sitting there thinking like why is Saren's ship talking to us, and then they're like wait, and then we like Sovereign says something, and I think Sovereign says like Saren is a part of my will, and then and then I think it's that point whoever you have with you, either Ashley or Caden, the first thing I say is like that ship's the Reaper.
Yeah. Yeah, and he says some like really kind of like it says some pretty damning things.
It's cryptic, but it's also ominous.
Yeah, it really is because they, basically Sovereign is telling you like obviously the cycle. Like there's a cycle that every 50,000 years they come in, they wipe the galaxy clean and start new, and he's like. We do it because we demand it. It's kind of something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's like some chilling dialogue where it's like, oh Jesus. So, but I mean, some of his lines were like, "We are eternal, the pinnacle of evolution and existence. Before us, you are nothing. Your extinction is inevitable. We are the end of everything." So it's like, it's a really good scene because that's when you know, okay, Saren's not the main bad guy here. Like. There's something even more out there.
Yeah.
So, kind of going back, Shepard lands on Ilos, which is basically they find this relay that the Rachni Queen had information on. They find this relay. They attempt to go to. I think they actually attempt to go to Ilos, but like once they kind of come to the Citadel with all this information about Saren, and they're like, "Oh shit, you're right. He is kind of a dick." All right, we're going to take care of it. We're going to, make sure, with all this information that you got that he's coming to attack the Citadel and all the mass relays. So we're going to protect the mass relays and stuff like that. And Shepard's like, well, what about the Reapers that I keep talking about? And they're like, yeah, we don't believe you on that either. So we're going to ground your ship. And they're like, well, wait, I got to get to Ilos because that's where Saren is.
Yeah,
they're
that was a dick move, by the way.
Because they were like, yeah, no, we're just going to protect our fleet, and you're going to stay here.
Which I don't, that's the one boneheaded thing I don't understand about like the Council and Udina. Like what was the overall like reason for all that?
Udina turns to you and says, "You've done enough, Shepard. I'll take it from here." And then he takes 2 steps forward and he like gives you the cold shoulder. And I was like, "You motherfucker." Like the one time I wanted a renegade option to punch that dude in the face. Like, oh my God. I was like, I say that every time I play that scene. I was like, you motherfucker.
Wait. Dude, but come on, man, because like it's sweet what happens like later on in the series.
Yes, it does. It does. It is so satisfying. but
I'm glad you mentioned that scene because like Udina, at that point, Udina was like, "Hold on, I'm the ambassador of Earth for the Council, and this little soldier right here is actually more important than I am now."
Yeah, so like you can get out of here now. So it's like literally him who grounds you. It's not the Citadel that grounds you. Like the Citadel could tell you fuck off, whatever. But like the ambassador, I think Ambassador Udina, he's not a counselor at this point, where he's like, I'm grounding your ship. So like.
Yeah.
You ain't going anywhere. Because he wants the glory. He wants to kind of elevate his status to become a counselor on the to have a seat on the council. And yeah, so that's where kind of like Captain Anderson gets to work. And what is it? There's two options you could tell Anderson to do. You could tell him to kind of like try to hack the mainframe to like unlock your ship, or to like literally like hack into Odina's computer and do it. And I always pick that option because what that option entails,
yes,
what that option entails is basically walking into his office, punching him in the face, and then David Anderson going to work. Yep.
That scene was, oh my god. I remember it so well. Like Udina's like, Anderson, what are you doing here? I didn't ask you to come here.
I didn't summon you here. And like you see that walk where he's just like walking like with such force, and then he just bam. So good.
By the way, that's not the only sucker punch we've seen in Mass Effect.
Nope, definitely not.
Remember when you first land on Eden Prime and you rescue those scientists and the one person is completely wigged out?
He's the one that knew about the Reapers before anybody. That man should be a hero.
Yes. It was funny too because Shepard's like, say goodnight, Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, damn. That man was trying to save our galaxy. And you just put him to sleep.
Like, Shepard's a hardcore motherfucker.
Yeah, he is when you want him to be.
That's not the best sucker punch though.
No, because periodically when you go back to the Citadel, you get that reporter.
Oh my god.
That comes in and asks you certain questions, and you could have a diplomatic response, you could have a really kind of brash, dickish response, and this reporter, Bin Solani or whatever.
Yeah, Bin Solani.
Yeah, where she comes at you like a kind of like a, hey, what's this whole thing about like you helping alien races and like not giving a shit about humans? What's up with that? And like she keeps prodding you with these questions, and you could like continue to act diplomatically, or you could say, you know what, I've had enough of you, and then just deck her. So satisfying when you do that.
That punch on her though. Oh my god.
Yeah. I just love the follow-up in 2. Oh, the follow-up in 2 is so good.
My parents always told me don't put your hands on women.
Yeah.
But man, when I saw the option to like punch her, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
All right, so Anderson basically hacks the mainframe.
Yeah.
Releases the Normandy.
Yep.
So Shepard can follow Saren to Ilos.
Yeah.
And get shit done.
Which is one of the main Prothean planets that has literally been undiscovered, literally been, never explored ever. So when you land on Ilos, it's literally the first time anybody has been on Ilos since the Protheans walked.
And what's crazy about that is that as you're traveling through Ilos, through some of the facilities, you're actually seeing cryosleep chambers of Protheans that like put themselves in suspended animation because of that 50,000 year cycle and stuff like that. But a terrible malfunction had happened, and they all died.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the VI that you discovered. You used to discover this Prothean VI that was supposed to monitor the whole system and all its functions and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, when the Protheans discovered that this is a 50,000 year cycle, and they were trying to build a weapon to attack the Reapers, so to speak, and they ran out of time, so they said, well, we're going to go into cryogenic sleep once the Reapers have finished with their destruction of everything. They'll always go back to dark space, and that's where we can kind of come back and kind of continue our work, so to speak. But an accident happens in the facility, and the VI has to like periodically shut down cryopods, and you only discover this once you start to talk to the VI. It's like this kind of like onboard computer thing that like talks to you. But interestingly enough, because of the cipher that you got from the Thorian, Shepard can understand it, but none of your other party members can.
Yeah.
Because your party members are like, I didn't understand a word like that thing said. And Shepard's like, what are you talking about? He was speaking plainly to me. I knew exactly what he was saying. So it's kind of crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so the VI tells you that obviously they had to kind of shut down those cryopods periodically and suspending a lot of the power to some of the more essential pods. And I think as of that point, everybody had been dead, which kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, you think like maybe someone made it, but so
no, not on this planet.
No, definitely not. Unfortunately, the so basically the Prothean VI kind of tells you about the cycle, tells you about kind of this is where a bulk of the Mass Effect story is about organics versus AI, organics versus kind of like a what am I thinking of? Yeah, kind of like AI, like artificial intelligence and synthetics, so to speak. Because every race, every alien species will always create robots to serve them. Mm-hmm. And every time at some point, which is what happened to the Quarians and the Geth, is that at some point their creations will turn against them, will rebel because they will become sentient. And the alien races will always see that as a threat to say, no, we can't give them sentience. We can't give them their own lives, even though that's all any living being wants. And every living being wants to live. And that's why historically throughout the series, I always felt bad for the Geth, because the Geth were doing what they were programmed to do. They were programmed to protect, and they were programmed to take care of things. So when the Quarians started to attack, they did what any race would do. They would defend.
They defended themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I've always felt like the Quarians were the aggressors and the Geth were kind of, I mean, yeah, the Geth could have been like, hey, chill, like we won't do anything. But, the Geth were programmed to defend, and that's what they did. So that's always when the cycle starts to kind of end, to where the Reapers start to see that, okay, obviously things are getting out of hand again, so we're going to wipe the slate clean, and we're going to try again with a new life cycle. That's kind of the story of the Reapers.
Yep. Yeah. So while Shepard is talking to the VI that's on Ilos and stuff, they finally get the full picture of what's going on. They find out that the Citadel is the mass relay. Yep. Like it's the one that connects to the actual mass relay that's located in dark space where the Reapers are supposed to be coming from and stuff like that. Sovereign is basically like their what is it called, a herald? Like he's the first one that shows up.
Yeah, he's literally the first Reaper that shows up.
Sovereign's mission mainly is he wakes up early, he checks out the galaxy, he basically gets a lay of the land, sees the situation. He's like, they're not ready. He goes back to dark space and goes to sleep a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. If he shows up, he's like, oh, they ready? Okay. Yeah. He heads straight for the Citadel. Activates the relay that opens up the other relay to dark space, and that wakes up the rest of the Reapers, and they come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing that the Citadel is. The Citadel was created by the Reapers. Do we find that out in the first one?
I think we do. But I don't think the real weight of the Citadel is becomes known until Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, really, because we know that I think at that point, because the Asari were literally the first race to discover the Citadel.
Yes, they were the first race in our cycle.
Yeah, in our cycle to discover the Citadel. Yeah, and that's where they found that it was Prothean technology or something like that. So I think maybe at this time of the first Mass Effect that the Protheans had designed the Citadel, in its current form. But of course, naturally, I think we find that it was actually designed by the Reapers to be a relay, because you get those little like keeper robot things that everybody knows like works in the Citadel, but they kind of mind their own business and don't really do anything. Mm-hmm. But they're actually the kind of like the gatekeepers, so to speak, where they unlock the key and basically supposed to let the Reapers in.
Yeah, the keepers have some overall role they play, and basically when a Reaper shows up, they basically get everything in order on the Citadel to start the signal for the mass relay.
Hmm.
Which I think I missed something here in my playthrough. Did Saren go to Ilos while Sovereign was headed for the Citadel? Is that what happened? Because Saren was on the planet, and then by the way, there's a mass relay on Ilos that takes them directly to the Citadel.
Yes, yeah, it's like a
But
literal one-way Mass Effect relay. Yeah,
but Saren is on Ilos with no Sovereign in sight.
yeah,
So
because that's the thing, because Saren has to travel straight to the Citadel in order to open the Citadel so that
mm,
Sovereign can dock. So I think Sovereign kind of like traveled there with the Geth army separately, while Saren
while
was,
Saren was planet side
yeah,
because that's right. That was his surefire way to infiltrate back onto the Citadel without being caught.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah, exactly, because that like you said, that Mass Effect relay that's on Ilos was that one way shot straight into, literally into, I think, you crash land into the Presidium or something like that,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, the Presidium, right where there, because also if you do any exploring on the Presidium, they think it's a replica of a mass relay, but
Hmm.
it actually is a mass relay
Yeah.
on the Citadel.
Yeah, this looks kind of suspicious the way this is all shaped out. Oh well.
And there's some type of energy coming from it. It's like, wait, y'all dumbasses never scanned that thing.
Yeah. Ah, so
All
funny thing. Hey, what are those keepers? What do those little robot things do over there? I don't know. What do you mean? You
right.
don't know? I don't know. Doesn't really
Maybe,
do anything.
maybe we were supposed to get called in that 50,000 year cycle. We didn't learn enough shit,
Yeah, no
apparently.
kidding. Reapers are like sitting there like,
Do we really want to call them? Maybe we
God.
should get them. Maybe we should give them another 5,000 years.
Yeah, maybe they'll figure it out in another 5,000 years. I don't know. Jesus. That's why the Reapers are the good guys. Reapers are the good guys.
All
Yeah.
right. So Shepard and team follow Saren directly through that mass relay, and Stoy, take it away.
Yeah. Basically, Saren's trying to unlock the doors, so to speak, and so that Saren can dock into this specific part of this Mass Effect relay, or the Citadel. So the Citadel has this is like a ring. It's like a center ring, and it's got these like large little kind of appendages, so to speak. And on those appendages is where
Looks like
like,
a big flower.
yeah,
Looks like a big
basically,
flower, actually.
yeah. And like in the middle of that ring, the appendages is where all like the buildings and the houses are and stuff like that. So like in this ring is like a tiny little like kind of like docking conduit thing or something like that. That no one really knows what it does. It's just there. And that is where that Reaper Sovereign is supposed to dock into, and that's supposed to unlock that Mass Effect relay that is supposed to let the Reapers in. So the Reapers are supposed to originate from the Citadel, so to speak. So at this point, obviously, all the races are embroiled in this large space battle between, the Geth armies, the Geth ships, and then obviously Sovereign too. They're trying to attack Sovereign, but Sovereign has this shield that makes them pretty much invulnerable to combat,
Mhm.
to any firepower whatsoever. While Shepard is on the ground trying to chase down Saren to prevent him from unlocking, that docking area. So this is where on Vermeer you can actually convince him that he's indoctrinated, and he shows a little bit of senses of like acknowledgement, like he's like, I know I am, but it's like I can't stop it at this point.
Yeah.
And you talk to him again in the final chase where like you actually catch him at the end, and you're like, hey man, like it's not too late, you could help us, you could save us, help us defeat Sovereign, like you're indoctrinated, and if you're successful in this, like you have to have full Paragon points like all throughout the nines. And he could admit defeat and actually put the gun to his head and kill himself to say like, I am
Yeah.
indoctrinated, this isn't what I wanted. That's where you kind of feel sorry for him, because he's a victim of his own power lust.
Yeah. Yeah, like you want to figuring out, like, by the end of the game, you want to figuring out that like he's actually a sympathetic figure.
Yeah, he actually is. So he puts the gun to his head, shoots himself, but obviously the indoctrination changes him to like a weird spidery leggy thing or whatever. You end up fighting that, and then you kill him, and then you come out of the rubble, and this triumphant stance. But obviously, before that, you have to make a really brash decision.
Ooh.
The council is leaving. The council is evacuating on this ship called the Destiny Ascension, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Was the Ascension is like the most powerful Asari ship in the combined fleet.
Yeah. So they're trying to escape, but the Geth and the Geth are trying to obviously shoot down the ship. So for some reason, Commander Shepard has to make or Captain Shepard, I think, right?
He's still commander. I don't think he ever takes a full promotion throughout the entire series.
No, I don't think he does. Yeah, but yeah. So basically, he or she, I guess, because Shepard could be whatever you want it to be. They ask you somehow, hey, by the way, can you help make this decision for us? Humanity has all the fleets to try to save the Citadel Council, or should the human fleet spend their firepower on Sovereign, on trying to attack and destroy Sovereign before he docks? So this is where the implications of, is humanity looking out for humanity and glory, or is humanity looking out for other races and other species? So this is where you can make the decision to save the council and preserve galactic sanity and galactic dominance of all species, or let the council die, take the glory for defeating Sovereign and elevating humanity to another level, because after that point the objective would be to kind of say like, hey, we're humanity, we just saved y'all, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, this is I feel like this is the decision for the entire game. Like the saving the council or fighting Sovereign. I think this is the one, because in all seriousness, I've looked at it, like, because I've looked at like all the outcomes for all the games, and I feel like if you choose to like let the council die, that is actually the bad ending for the first Mass Effect game.
Yes.
Yeah, because basically it shows that humanity is just greedy and opportunistic. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I save the council.
I save the council every time. Yeah.
It's one of those situations. It's like because I feel like humaneness wins out, even with alien species. If we're kind enough to like if we see someone like hit a dog out in the street, that we'll get out of our car and move the dog to the side of the road to make sure like it doesn't get killed in the street. Stuff like that. Same thing applies. Like it's a morality clause right there. Stuff like that. Like I did have some friends that said in their first playthrough they were like, "Fuck the council," and I was like, thanks, you just let me know a lot about your character.
I know. Well, and that's emotion over logic. I mean, it's the kind of like the classic decision making that a lot of the choices in Mass Effect have. It's like, the council has been against you from day one. They have been against humanity from day one as well. Humanity's got this stigma of being a teenager amongst all the adults in the room, and at some point you start to feel bitter and resentment toward other races. So this is the time for you to shine and step up to show the galaxy who you are as a species, and to say, oh, you need my help? No, screw you. I'm going to go take the glory right now.
Yep.
And that's emotion speaking over logic, to where it's like, despite the fact that they were, every alien race was a jerk to humanity, we still want to be part of this community, and we're going to do what we can to be a part, of the community.
Yeah. Which is funny, because like I said earlier, like Mass Effect definitely like it parallels like what we deal with in life and stuff like that. Look at all the injustices that happen to people every day, like people of color, like people of certain religious backgrounds, orientations, all that stuff. Like at the end of the day, like all those people want is just to be included with the rest of society, with the rest of the status quo and stuff like that, mm-hmm. and stuff like that. So yeah, I always figured that saving the council, that's a no brainer right there. Because
it really is.
But also let's be serious. Like if you're being emotional about how the council is towards humanity, in the first Mass Effect game, the Council didn't do enough to me to say, "Oh, fuck these guys." Now we got into Mass Effect 3 and we had that decision. Maybe then I could, be like, "Oh, you know what? These guys have been paying my ass since the very first game."
Right.
And also, I have to say these guys have been. I didn't play the game when it came out in 2007, all the way through to its run. Which the series ended in 2014 or 2015, I think.
I think 2014, yeah.
Either way it goes, like maybe if I had played from 2007 till the end, then I could be like, oh, you know what? Let these fuckers die. But they hadn't done in Mass Effect 1, they had not done enough to me and humanity for me to say they die.
Yeah. No,
also
go ahead.
Also, there was another thing in my head back then that was like, what if we sacrifice the Council and it goes wrong for us? Like, all of a sudden the species that made up the Council race all of a sudden make humanity the enemy.
Yeah.
It could have horribly backfired.
Well, it really could have. And we know now that if you decide to sacrifice the Council, you can either choose to make an all-human council, or you could kind of like put in other races or whatever. Like the Council could get repopulated, but humanity is still seen as like kind of like a stigma, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately in the end, like I said, the only real decision is to save the Council, because that kind of, in the end, obviously the Council recognizes humanity's role in stopping Sovereign, in saving the Council, and putting other alien species before humanity's own selfish desires.
Yeah,
and
that was the biggest test for humanity. That was the biggest test.
It's very interesting, actually, that you bring up the metaphor of the whole, and it's not necessarily a metaphor because this is real life, about how even in today's society where there's so many injustices against people that are of varying beliefs, colors, religions, and everything, kind of like what you said. The answer is not to, well, I just want to destroy everybody that disagrees with me. I want to destroy everybody that slighted me. I want to kill those people. That's not the right answer. The right answer is for one, to be recognized by these people, and two, to be part of a kind of like a global community of togetherness. Not, I'm going to put all of these people, all my people, or people of my specific religions, beliefs, colors, whatever, on a small island. Like that's never been the answer.
This is why it never works in X-Men. When every time Magneto tries to take all the mutants and put them in one place, it never works out.
No, never does. Never does. Yep.
And the sad part is not because like the outside people are meddling with Magneto's affairs. Like it's his own people on the inside that are fucking him up.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, in the end, the difference, there's more humane differences within certain groups of people than there are elsewhere. I mean, to a certain point, we're all more alike than we realize. It doesn't matter what background you come from or what country you were born in. A lot of times humanity, and I imagine the same goes for alien species in this case, but we're all the same.
Yeah.
Ultimately in the end, and we're all the bastions of our own destruction. So, which we'll see with humanity later on in the series.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, like I said, I saved the Council, and like the only other major decision you have before Shepard goes back out into space is like who represents Earth on the Council, because you get Earth finally gets its opportunity to be on the Councils. Man, like Mass Effect 1 had like some deep stuff going on. Yep. Got your first Spectre. You learned that the galaxy gets wiped out every 50,000 years. Humanity gets on the Council. Like, man, all sorts of big stuff happened that first game.
No kidding. And now you got to pick your counselor. They say like, hey, since you kind of saved all of us, like, why don't you pick, Udina, who's a dick, or Anderson, who's like,
Now, okay, so how I said earlier that the Council didn't do enough to me to grant me not letting them live, I can't say the same thing for Udina. Udina was an absolute pain in my ass, in Shepard's ass, the entire game. There was no fucking way I was making him a counselor. There was no way.
I know, but that's my problem, is that between him and Anderson, he would do a better job. Because
That is true.
Anderson would
Anderson's
say from the
not a
beginning.
politician.
Yeah, he said
Anderson's
from the
not a
beginning, I'm
politician.
not a politician. I'm a soldier. I need to be in the battlefield, or I need to be kind of in that sense. Like he said numerous times, I don't want to be no counselor. No way. Don't put me on there. You know? And I think even like if you do acknowledge and put him in there, he like actually kind of resents you for it. Like when you talk to him in Mass Effect 2, he's like, man, I hate this shit.
You know what? Now that you said that, as I complete my first playthrough of Mass Effect 1, my second playthrough, I'm sorry, my second playthrough of Mass Effect 1, I think I might actually let Udina have his shot this time.
Well,
I think.
So my first playthrough, I made Anderson because I'm like, Udina's a dick. I don't want to put him.
Yeah.
And then when you talk to him in Mass Effect 2, you know, he kind of has this like, hey man, how's it going? Like you're with Cerberus now? What the fuck? And you know, you're like, hey man, like you talk to him and like, hey, how's counselor life? And he's like, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like this politics bullshit. This is stupid. Why'd you do this to me? I mean, he didn't say it in those words, but it was the reading in between the lines thing that it was like, man, he's not happy. So that's why, I mean, ultimately by Mass Effect 3, it doesn't matter who you pick. It's always going to be the same person in the end. But yeah. Ever since my first playthrough, I was like, yeah, I'll just pick Udina. Ugh. I don't like Udina.
Me neither.
The voice is perfect because
it grates on your nerves, doesn't it?
Like whoever did the voice of that, like it's like, hey, we want you to be as annoying as possible, and like be as pretentious as possible. Oh, I could do, and the voice actor's like, oh, I could do that. And man, whoever it is did a good job. I'm actually gonna look up that person's name because
who did play that?
His name is Bill Ratner. Bill Ratner. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it.
Yeah, Bill Ratner.
Yep.
Dude, 74. Wait. He's the voice of Flint from the original G.I. Joe?
Yep. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
What? And he's reprised his role as Flint for quite a few years. He was the voice of Flint in the Family Guy episode that they had.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't even recognize that. You know what? Flint was my favorite character from the original G.I. Joe. It was one of my favorite characters from the original G.I. Joe series. I don't even recognize that voice with Udina. I don't.
Wow. That'd be interesting to kind of like look back on it. So, yeah. So you end up flying off in this space. The Reaper threat is still there, but no one believes you. But you know, you're like, well, I'm gonna find out my own information.
They don't deserve to live at this.
No, they really don't, because like I said, Mass Effect 2, you know, you got your own problem. You got problems to deal with. Mass Effect 3, all of a sudden they're not like that first opening scene. It's like you put me, you took my ship, you took my crew. You're basically made me a prisoner, and now you're calling me here.
Exactly, they legit like, what do we do? Like bitch, I told you what to do 4 years ago.
That was the one time. That was the one scene where I wanted Shepard to just like listen. Hang on, let me see if I understand the situation I'm in right now. Right? Okay, but we'll get to that when we talk about Mass Effect 3. But yeah, that's basically the story of Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
It's
a wonderful game. It's a wonderful game.
No, it really is.
It's a wonderful game.
Interestingly enough, and I think we talked about this, is that they didn't have a plan for a sequel until like later in development.
Yeah, like I had no idea because in all seriousness, the way it was always presented to me, that it was going to be a trilogy. So it's crazy to hear that they only planned for this to be a one and done originally.
Yeah, because I don't think they really knew that it was supposed to be big, but I think in the middle of development, it was getting a lot of press and a lot of good feedback, and a lot of people said like, "Hey, let's make this into a series." So they had to change a lot of the writing of it because ultimately, like the Reapers were supposed to be stopped. The Citadel was supposed to be their one way in, and once that was shut down and stopped, that was supposed to be the end of it.
Why didn't we just blow up the Citadel?
I don't know, a lot of people on there. Where are they supposed to go?
That would. Okay, I'm not gonna say fuck those people, but the
renegade option, like extreme renegade option, nuke the Citadel. That would have ended the series.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, like, okay, here's the recurrent theme. Here's the recurrent theme in all the Mass Effect games, including Andromeda. The Citadel is the central source of everything that goes on in this universe.
Yes.
Just remember that.
Mm-hmm. It's weird to hurdle everything, all major points of commerce, economy, civilization, everything into one space.
Now, here's something I know for sure. Like, if I was a person if I was just like a regular civilian that was living on the Citadel, and I find out that, hey, like there was a major war that just happened in this place that I lived, and that the Citadel can actually move and do all this stuff. As soon as I was deemed a survivor of the Citadel, I would move.
Yep,
I'd be gone,
going back to Earth. Yeah,
I will live out. What's those areas called?
Like the Terminus systems, technically.
Yeah, I would rather live out in Terminus.
Yeah.
On the Citadel.
Yeah, so the Terminus systems actually are like part of like non-galactic space, so to speak. And we talk more about that in Mass Effect 2 because
human like the Alliance is like, humans, go out there at your own at your own risk.
Yeah. Which we talk more about that particular system definitely in 2, but yeah. Any other closing thoughts with this?
Honestly, these guys did a wonderful job. Like like they did a wonderful job. Like they kept the momentum going. Like, you know, for the duration of this trilogy, like the game only gets better. Like they streamline a few things. Like you will see some big differences when you press start on Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in the next standard definition for this. But well put together. Like, I mean, like this is the stuff that, you know, like we really expect from games, you know, like we do. We don't always get it, but this is the stuff we expect. So it's always refreshing when we get this stuff. Like there's lore there. Like, I mean, like you can rack up your playtime alone just sitting there reading all the journal entries and the codex entries in this game. Yeah. And you know the cool thing about it, you don't even have to read.
No.
Like all the codex entries are narrated.
Yeah. What do you mean narrated?
Like, okay, when you go to a codex entry, like say for example, you're looking up information about the Asari.
Yeah, in the first one, they're all narrated.
Yeah, they're narrated. Right. Yeah, exactly.
You're right. Yeah, they're narrated. That is nice. Yeah.
Like someone reads it for you.
Yeah. That's the one thing I don't think they did that in 2 and 3, did they?
I thought they continued. I thought they did it for all of them.
I don't know. I remember in 1 now, but I don't know if they did that in 2 and 3. Huh.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm gonna have to find out.
Yeah, let me know.
Well, I'll know soon. I'll know soon.
Yeah, let me know because I'd be kind of curious too. So yeah, that was the kind of thing when you look at video games as a storytelling medium. You know, you could argue to say that the video games are the best entertainment medium to tell a story, because you know movies can only give you so much lore and information in one sitting.
Yeah.
You know, books, same thing. Like, how much lore and, you know, in depth do you want to go without, you know, slowing down the story? Video games, you can kind of consume the content if you want. You can burn through this game really quickly. You could actually spend the time, like you said, reading all the codex entries and really kind of delving deep into character histories and conversations and stuff like that. And you can go as deep or as shallow as you want.
Shit, even when you wind up just like going out there exploring space and you go into different sectors of the galaxy and stuff, when you run across a planet, they even have a write-up of what the planet's about.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I love reading that.
Even if it's a dead world, they still have a write-up about like what's going on out here and stuff. It's like, damn, like how do you know all the did we didn't know all this history? I'm glad we have it, but you know, like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, man, they put a lot of depth and detail into the game.
And I love reading that. Like, honestly, every planet I would like kind of like explore and visit, I read the description to say like, oh, this planet is completely inhabitable because the oxygen level is like below 30% or something like that, which, or like, you know, it's got lush green atmosphere, but it's like has so many histamine properties in it that like if you take your suit off, you would be allergic. And just like, it's so crazy to think like,
Yep, stuff like that gives me a sci-fi boner.
Oh yeah, it really do, because I'm like, man, imagine landing on this planet, but like, you know, every plant you touch, you have an allergic reaction to it. Like, it's so crazy to think about. So many different things. Like, it's so cool.
Yep.
I mean,
yes, wonderful game. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Even with the game's flaws, like the game was flawed.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say, you know, I've heard a lot of people say skip the first one and just go to 2 and 3 right away. I really don't recommend that, even though Mass Effect 1 may be kind of like a slow slog. You know, especially if you hear about how great 2 and 3 are, it's really, really worth it to get into know the universe, get to know the characters, and get to know the story.
Yeah.
It's really worth it.
Yeah, like it's honestly one of my favorite video game, if not franchises, at least video game trilogies. Yeah,
it's definitely.
And that's the other thing too. A lot of games don't set out to do trilogies. They're usually like, we're gonna make a sequel, you know, but they don't set out to make a trilogy.
Yeah. And that's honestly, trilogy is kind of the way to go, because like, you know, you make a set of like 3 games or 3 movies or 3 books, whatever. You end that particular timeline, and then, you know, obviously the idea with what Mass Effect Andromeda wanted to do is like, we're going to create a new story, new timeline, new characters. And obviously that didn't work for them, but for many reasons. But I think that was the, you know, new galaxy, new missions, new characters, you know, new trilogy, so to speak, hopefully. But obviously it didn't work out.
Oh, one question. When you were creating Shepard, which what attributes did you give him?
A lot of times I would be female Shepard because I love Jennifer Hale's voice acting.
Yeah.
I would always be a soldier because I just, you know, like I like to be able to use all the weapons. On my last playthrough, I was biotic all the way through.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was biotic with the first, second, and third one. It's the first time I've ever done that.
I've never done that. I've never done anything outside of soldier.
Yeah, same for me, actually. So that was always kind of like curious to see, like, oh, let me try playing a biotic this time around. Like, I've never been a tech ever, but maybe I'll try that in my next playthrough. I always dump my points right away into, I think, where you can actually, like, I forget what it's called, but like, you get like extra points for certain conversation points. And,
it's intimidate and something else.
Intimidate and charm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Charm and intimidate. Yeah. So, I always plug into those first. And then once I get those plugged in, then I start working on like the base stats, like the soldier one and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a pro tip. Here's a pro tip for anybody that's listening right now. If you're looking to play Mass Effect for the first time, or if this is one of your multiple playthroughs, like the characters that have like decryption and AI hacking, put the skills into those first, because you will run across stuff that you can't hack until you level up and get later on in the game. And this game is so massive and expansive that you will forget to come back to certain areas, but you know, because you couldn't get to it right then and there.
Yeah.
So throw those points in there.
And definitely, if you get frustrated, you could always just slap Omnigel on it, and you can actually hack through anything.
Yep.
So that's the one thing. Omnigel isn't really prevalent in 2 and 3, unfortunately, because there's a lot of things that 1 does that 2 and 3 don't. Like, for example, all guns had kind of infinite ammo and infinite energy, but like always had this cooldown period.
Yeah.
And then obviously in 1, you could just slap Omnigel on whatever, and that would, you know, hack into
Omnigel.
Yeah.
Omnigel is like Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like I could just put Frank's Red Hot and everything.
Put it on everything.
Yeah. And that's kind of funny because I think that's a joke
There was a line. Yeah, there was a line in 3. Like remember the days you just put Omnizel
on everything. Yeah. Oh, that was I think that was the Citadel DLC, right? Oh God.
Yeah.
I love.
Oh my God.
Honestly, you know what we should do? We should have a separate podcast just for the Citadel DLC.
Yes. Yeah.
We really should. So good.
I'm there for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that about wraps it up with this one. Stay tuned, obviously, when LeRon and I do 2, which is arguably one of the best, if not the best game in the trilogy, or in all compared to all the Mass Effects. But
what are you talking about? Andromeda's the best. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm doing fan service here. I don't want people to really know how I feel about Andromeda. Because I really liked it, even for all its flaws. It's like the ugly child that you have.
I was enjoying Andromeda. Yeah. I just never beat it. Yeah, it's good.
But
it's not you. It's me, Andromeda. It's not you.
Yeah, it really isn't. You're doing the best. You're doing the best you can. So I don't have a conclusion. So this is Standard Definition, the place where the gang from Boss Rush Network talks about video games, movies, television, and music entertainment. So in this case, we talked about Mass Effect. So definitely don't forget to hit the Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can actually get early access to these episodes and many other episodes. Like we're talking like a month in advance. So you get to listen to episodes almost like a month and a half in advance. And then, obviously don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you want, if you like the stuff. Anywhere you listen to podcasts like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Come on, everybody. This is the second time Stoy and I have actually done this as a duo. Come on, guys. You show us the love.
Show us the love.
Show
really.
It to us.
LeRon, where can people follow you?
You can find me everywhere. Look for Exodus 803, EXODUS 803 on social media, Twitch and YouTube, and also that's my gamer. Actually, I just found out my gamer tag on Xbox Live is wrong. It's Exodus 0803.
Okay, got it.
Where it is Exodus 803 for PlayStation Network. So there you go. That's all of them. I am the host of Crossroads PlayStation Podcast for Boss Rush Network. You can find that every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Exodus 803, Tuesday nights. And I am also part of the crew for the Boss Rush podcast, as well as Boss Rush After Dark.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is, yeah. I know. I'm busy. I'm busy.
I suppose I am too, because I'm on the EXP Cast, a video game podcast. We're part of the Boss Rush Network. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram there, EXP Cast. And also I'm part of Arsenal X on the Boss Rush Network, where we talk about Xbox. And you can follow me on my personal Twitter and Instagram at StoyMKE8. So, LeRon, thanks for joining me on this.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Hey, you're like, hey, I want to do a standard definition for the Mass Effect trilogy. I was like, say no more.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Yeah, no kidding. So
count me in. Like I'm the Garrus Shepard on this one.
Yes. We can't tell anybody this, okay? I think everyone on the network.
That would already make them too jealous.
They already are jealous. Let them be jealous. I don't care.
I mean, they're already trying to blame us for why they're all playing Mass Effect right now. Like, don't blame us. Like, you obviously want to play the game. You just wait until we start talking about it to play it. Yeah,
no kidding. Yeah, we're OGs. We played it for years before this whole Legendary Edition came out. So, yeah, it'd be like that. So, all right. Well, bye everyone.
Have a good night.